And we're moving.
And we're grooving.
And we're hustling.
We're hustling. It's straight up hustle culture all day, every day. That's who we are.
Never truer words. Toxic? Yeah. I don't think so.
No. I rise, I grind, I hustle.
I don't even rise. I don't have to rise because I'm already grinding.
I'm already grinding.
Yeah, I don't even go to bed.
When you're rising, I'm grinding.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The early bird gets the worm, except I already got the worm.
Yeah.
There isn't even a bird. I killed the bird.
I took the worm. Anyways, welcome back to every other podcast out there.
And I watched the Bird's Family die.
Watch the Bird's Family die.
What about this being a podcast? Is that what we're doing?
It is. What is it?
This is who's funding this podcast. That's what this is. After dark.
After dark. You know, at this point, they're all after dark due to our schedule restraints.
Yeah, it's true. We record in the evening.
Both constraints and restraints.
Yeah.
Yeah, we record in the evening, but every time it's after dark, which means we're different people.
Truly. I learned, and Doug also learned, while we set up our regular recording session, that I think my brain fell out my ass earlier today.
So, no, it's a thing that happens, like, I don't know, 5 o'clock hits.
And it's just, I've reached the decision-making cap.
Yeah, I become less effective.
Yeah,
for sure.
I talked to one too many people today, and 2 times. One of the times I actually had to, like, present to, like, everyone. But it was unprompted, like, with 10 minutes warning.
Oh, shit.
And it's totally fine. Like, I knew what I was given what to say, but I still had to do it. And then after that, had another, like, impromptu conversation. All I'm saying is it was a number of speaking times that were too many.
Sure. Yeah, that's a lot.
So we're going to speak some more.
So I'm your host, Doug Terranova.
Oh, this is a podcast. This is a conspiracy theory podcast. I'm also your host, Maddy Bird. And who's funding this podcast is a podcast where 2 skeptical comedians, becoming less skeptical over time, discuss conspiracy theories.
Yes.
And today is no exception, actually.
Yeah. Before that, I have news.
Please tell me your news.
Yeah. So, okay, hold on. Every thought left my brain.
Yeah.
So, for those of you in the Kansas City area, you may know the Pitch is Best of Kansas City. Pitch is a magazine that is here in Kansas City. They do the Best of Kansas City every year. In July, they do nominations where people write in nominations, as many as once a day. And they just today released the actual poll. So whoever made it through the nominations, and our show, Comedy is Queer, made it. We made it. We're in best local event. Oh, that's...
Calling all the dogs. Yeah. Vote for our show.
Seriously, I was going to say if you're in Kansas City, I don't care. So Google Pitch KC Best Of, and it's going to bring you to that page. And you just need to go to best local event and vote for Comedy is Queer. I don't care where you are. I don't care if you've never been. I don't care if it's your first time listening. If it's before September 26, 2024, please vote. You can vote once a day.
You can, vote once a day. I'll be voting once a day.
I'll be voting once a day. I thought about I have like 5 Gmails. I'm not above it.
So do I, right? Yeah. So you can keep rotating through, so you can do subscriptions.
Yeah. That's exactly what I have our old podcast Gmail.
Yep.
From our previous one, and that's what my Venmo is attached to.
I love it. So I want to say too, because I'm so excited. So for everybody listening, I was brought on recently as a co-host, but Doug has been producing the show for 3 years. A fantastic show. So many comedians have gotten their start there. Many comedians have been able to continue to build a brand. It's just giving voices to queer people in a queer, safe space. It's unlike anything else. It's
the only comedy show right now in Kansas City that it's only queer people. Except for one time I made a mistake. I thought I booked a queer person and he was straight.
That's okay.
Allegedly.
We all have our one night, you know.
He was flirting with me, so that's why I booked him, because I was like, you must be queer, and you're a comedian, and you're funny.
Yeah.
But no.
Turns out.
But yeah, no, that shows, I feel like it's my baby. And
it is your baby.
I really, like, it's an honor just to be nominated.
It's an honor just to be nominated. But I really think it's so well deserved. Like I said, I think you've really put on a fantastic show over the
Thank
years.
you.
And have really, like, the way that the structure has changed ever so slightly is really makes it just such a fun and entertaining show.
It's evolved into a really fun show. And also, big shout out to Gale's Public House for hosting that show. Even in the times where there was like 4 people, they still believed in the show.
One of those times, it was literally an ice storm.
And we should have canceled. That's neither here nor there. Shout out to Gales for being an amazing venue. Anyway, I found that out today, and that was a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Especially because, so there used to be Best Comedy Show, but then they consolidated a lot of events into Best Local Event. So we're there with like local festivals, with Shakespeare in the Park, things that are like big deals, and then Comedy Square, which is kind of funny. But
it's not kind of funny because it's like Shakespeare in the Park has obviously been around for forever. Like, I went to Shakespeare in the Park. Every city has it. I went in when I was in high school, like all that kind of stuff. But what it means to me, and what I'm so proud of you for doing, is building this community where it's like a mainstay now for the city. Like, this is a thing that happens regularly. People come.
Well, thank you. Well, and now you're my co-host on there too, because really we're a package deal.
Every year it becomes more and more evident.
Yeah, like if one of us is doing something in the entertainment sphere, eventually the other person is going
to do it. Yeah. That's why we know it's hard to tell us apart. We were actually talking about this yesterday. Physically, we're even.
Physically, we're the same.
Yeah, so similar to each other.
What we've done before is we've got our respective spouses, and then we've walked around a corner, and then they had to choose which one was the right one.
Yeah.
Which is also a scene in a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie.
Which is where we get all of our inspiration.
Yeah. And, by the way, the boyfriends knew, and that was apparently a big deal.
Right.
I wouldn't fucking know.
Listen, I'll say that a lot of people failed the test, but Bobby and Caroline didn't. And here we are.
I think. We may have switched spouses on accident.
It's true. They are also both physically almost exactly the same.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Twins marrying twins. Yeah. Is what happened.
Yeah. So our kids that will never have siblings.
That will be, siblings. That's what I was going to say also. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But that is so exciting. I almost don't even want to ask you about the rest of your week, just because that's such a highlight. But other good things for the week?
Yeah, other good things. So actually, I would love to talk about other things I have for my week.
Now that you mention it.
Yeah, well, we had your show premiere. That was so much fun. That was last night.
I did want to save it for the podcast because you've given me a little bit of feedback, but on camera, on the microphone, recorded, I want your honest feedback. I know you gave me one note about it being too long, but
only have honest feedback. You've known me long enough to know that I will not lie.
It's true. Doug did give me their note immediately after the show ended.
Yeah, it's just like 15 minutes too long. It happens. But no, it was truly fun. I think that it is a show that has so much growth potential.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
And it's so for you guys, it's like a talk show interview, kind of like, so it's an interview comedy show with the tone being very like Between the Ferns with Zach Galifianakis, where it's fake mean.
Yeah. Ribbing. Slight ribbing is kind of how he described it. Like, it's like how you talk with your closest friends.
Yes.
While doing bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. I truly did enjoy it. So the thing I'm really excited about, not to shit on your show or or our show, I guess.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Shark Attack movies.
Oh my god, this is a highlight. We also have a show literally tomorrow. We have comedy.
Oh yeah, we have a show tomorrow.
So since we're plugging stuff, who's funding this podcast? Which you're listening to, but in Kansas City, you can see us at Gale's Public House doing comedy
every final Friday.
You can see us at Blip every first Friday doing comedy roulette. Yep. That is a show where the audience gets to pick the topics.
Yeah.
And then I now have a new show. And this show is called In the Birdcage with Maddie Bird, with me, Maddie Bird, and probably most of the time,
with me. Yeah. We're a package deal. Yeah.
And it's kind of like cage fighting.
Yeah.
Actually, ignore everything we said before.
It's like it's actually Cage fighting.
Yeah.
Actually, luchadors.
Yeah,
So,
which is my dream.
But the shark attack.
Yeah. Oh, right. So plugging aside, shark attacks.
So, first of all, I watched the movies I haven't seen in a while. One was Deep Blue Sea. No, Deep Blue Ocean.
I don't know.
Blue Sea.
The deep
Anyway,
blue sea. I've heard about that one.
they scientists made sharks super smart, and that turned out to be bad. Is the plot of that movie?
Here's why I think that's dumb is because that is assuming that sharks are not already super smart.
They made them smarter.
Can they do it to me?
So my favorite thing about shark movies
Please tell me.
is there's always a very simple yet elegant solution. Get out of the water.
No. Sharknado. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Sharknado, and then there was a movie called Sand Sharks that was very bad.
Oh god. With sharks in the sand?
In the sand, yeah. But it's so funny, like the links that some of these movies go to get these people back in the water.
Yeah.
Like the plot devices they think up. I also watched, this wasn't a shark movie, but it was a horror movie about a haunted pool in somebody's backyard.
Like Monster House, but just the pool?
Just the pool.
Right.
The pool was bad and full of ghosts. Only the pool. And the links that this movie went through to be like, this is why we will be getting in the pool.
Every door around the house is locked.
But the pool.
And also there's no other houses.
Yeah.
Nobody has a car.
So I love don't get out of the water, or just don't get in the water movies.
Yeah.
Just don't get in the water and you're fine.
It's good.
Sharks, don't get in the water. Piranhas, there's one called Piranha.
Oh yeah, of course.
Don't get in the water. Also piranhas get a bad rap.
From what I've been told.
Yeah. As long as you don't mess with them and you're not bleeding, you're fine.
Yeah, so just stop bleeding in the water.
Yeah.
God, idiots. All of them.
Anyways, that's what I've been doing.
Okay.
Not much else to report.
That's fantastic. So we've been, on this end, doing a fun exercise that I have to shout out Caroline for this. Because I think I told you this, but I want your opinion on this. So Caroline, for our 1-year anniversary, her anniversary gift to me was she read one of my favorite books, which was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, it's right out there. I saw it. Yeah, okay.
So we bought the omnibus version, so we have 1 through 5.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite books because I read it when I was young, and it was one of the first books that I read that was meant to be funny that was actually funny.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I really like that. It's short, it's sweet. It's actually, I feel like, very well written.
Yes, I agree.
If there's a gun, the gun goes off. Like, that's how the book is.
Yeah.
But Douglas Adams was like, what if I put so many guns?
Yeah, the plot's almost irrelevant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it does keep, like, pulling back, you know? Because you know me, I love a bit that repeats. So.
Yes, truly.
So she annotated it for me.
Oh.
So she read it and then put notes in there.
I love that.
About it. Some of her notes I thought were hilarious. Like when they describe how to make the Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster.
Yes.
She wrote at the bottom, she was like, this is what it sounds like when you tell me how you made dinner. Which is like really cute, right?
That's so cute.
And so we're trading the book back and forth. So I'm reading the second one, the restaurant at the end of the universe, and I'm annotating that for her. Then she'll read it. Then she'll read the third one, annotate that for me.
So fucking cute.
Isn't that adorable?
That's adorable.
And she just did it. I'd never heard of anybody doing that. I don't know how she came up with that idea. I loved it.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great.
So I've been reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Wow.
Which kind of keeps you in a real silly, goofy mood.
I read that at a formative age also, and I think it really shaped how I view humor.
Yes.
Which is that was a pretentious sentence, and I'm so sorry. But, like, it shaped my sense of humor, like, because it's so, like, witty.
Yeah.
And it, like, unexpected where the jokes come from, and very British. Very British. Yeah. Very
British. And so it really did, because it kind of set me on this path, because then I started to read a lot of Kurt Vonnegut after that.
Oh, I love Kurt Vonnegut,
right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you kind of have this sense of humor, which is where I was also introduced to, like, nihilism, absurdism, you know, positive nihilism, or, like, optimistic nihilism. All of those.
Vonnegut is very that. Yeah. I don't know if you've read Cat's Cradle.
Yes.
But at the beginning, it's always stuck in my brain he talks about how vaginas are called beavers. And he's like, beavers are an animal that look like this. And he drew a beaver. And he's like, vaginas look like this.
I used to joke that Kurt Vonnegut was my real dad, but that was also when I joked that Tim Curry was my real dad.
They were your gay dads.
They were my gay dads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which...
And neither one of them are gay. Well...
Or my dad.
Allegedly. I wouldn't... So Tim Curry says he's not gay, but I wouldn't be surprised if he... something.
He went full cunt in a lot of the stuff that he did, especially...
Actually, in everything he's ever done. He's
full cunt.
Full cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever watch... And then we should probably talk about some conspiracy theories, but Legend... So
no, I did not
it is
Legend.
Old. Tom Cruise is like 5 years old in this.
Really?
Not really. He's like 20, but still. It's a very like high fantasy, almost trippy sort of movie where Tim Curry's the bad guy and he
usual
red devil, big horns. Full cunt. I've never been more engrossed. I watched that movie so many times. My parents shouldn't have been surprised at all that I was homosexual.
Oh my god!
It's a very gay boy movie.
I want to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's really good.
I now have weekend plans. Thank you.
And then watch some Shark Attack movies.
And some Shark Attack movies.
They're great.
I'm into it. Yeah. I'm still into Shark Week. Like that's still big.
Yeah. Nothing makes you feel alive like watching people get eaten by sharks.
Yeah.
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 That's fine, right?
Did you since we're on our way to getting canceled with that statement, did you see on TikTok, you know what? We're moving past this. We're going into
we'll never know.
The conspiracy theory.
There's going to be conspiracy theory surrounding the end of that sentence.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Well, I want to get us into this because I have a fun exercise for us to do.
Okay, I love it.
For this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trust false.
So I am going to give you the name of the conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Or like the thing that it's called.
Theme, yeah.
Yes. And then we are going to do a bit of a reenactment.
I love that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the conspiracy theory that we are talking about today is the mysterious Betts sphere.
The mysterious Betts sphere.
Have you ever heard of this before?
No.
Okay.
Those are 3 words I know, but I don't know about them together.
It's Betts, B-E-T-Z. It's a family name. So it's the name of the family.
Then just 2 of the words.
Yeah. So, but now you know.
Yeah.
Betts.
Now I know Betts.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Close personal friends of the show.
The Bettses.
Yeah.
They're funding this podcast.
They should be funding this podcast. And maybe so should the Navy, as you'll soon find out.
Oh.
Okay, so the mysterious Betts sphere. So I'm going to give it to you like a scene, and then after we do the reenactment, then I'll tell you about like all of the details.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so you put yourself in this scenario.
Gotcha.
It's 1974.
Right.
You are an adult in the 70s.
Yes.
There is this new age thinking.
Okay.
We've seen UFOs.
Okay. We've done acid.
Got
it.
Your hair is feathered.
Got it. Of course.
Your mustache is coiffed.
Yes.
Everything is good.
Yeah.
There's a brush fire in your backyard.
Oh, shit.
And you're like, what the fuck? Second point. That's very important. You live in Florida.
Oh, how sober am I?
You know, everything I've read would point to actually pretty sober for this experience.
Okay.
Okay, but you're pretty sober. You have a family.
I have a family.
In this situation, I'm going to be your wife. So I'll be Mrs. Betts. You'll be Mr. Betts. And there's just a brush fire. Kind of went through the property. It didn't affect our house.
Got it.
But we're like, what was that?
Okay.
So we're outside and we're going to be like rummaging through.
And the brush fire is gone.
The brush fire's gone.
Okay.
It went away.
So we're okay, I got you.
But we have to assess the damage because we sell some of these trees for like lumber and stuff like that.
Of course. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to have you start the scene. We've just arrived at, let's say, some kind of like a burn field.
Well, here we are at the burn field.
It's not a joke, Mr. Betts. We're losing money on these trees that we were going to sell.
Yes, that's what you call me, Mrs. Betts.
Mr. Betts?
That's what we know each other by.
Yep. I believe your name is Tim.
Okay.
My name...
Judy.
Yep.
All right. Well, Judy, let's assess that damage. Look at those trees.
Look at all those trees.
They are burnt by fire.
They are burned by fire. But I see something over here. It's kind of weird.
Tim is only pretending to be sober. He's actually very drunk.
Okay, but hang on. Come over here. I need you to help me move this stuff out of the way. There's something like shining in the ground. I want to see what this is.
Yeah, let's get that. Ow, it scratched me. It's just a tree branch. It's okay.
You're so sensitive.
I'm gonna have to get some hydrogen peroxide.
That's okay.
Do we have that in the 70s?
We have that. We probably have that in 1974.
Yeah, probably.
We'll clean it with something. You know,
Okay.
it'll be fine.
In 50 years, they're gonna talk about this.
It is, but also this thing is like heavy.
Yeah.
Like, here, hold this.
My disc. It ruptured.
It's a sphere. Oh, your disc.
My disc.
In your back.
In my back.
Oh my god.
One of them. Just one of them.
Yeah. Right. It's so strange. It's like perfectly smooth. Like what do you think that this is?
So I think it's one of three things.
Tell me.
Cannonball. Part of a gigantic pinball machine.
Right.
Or one bead of a giant's anal beads.
Set.
It's like it just popped off.
Right.
Yeah, it's
you
gotta
play with
be-
your beads a little bit too hard, it can happen.
It's got to be one of those.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I know
Yes.
how you feel about
I have
your
some
anal
in me
beads.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess it could be a cannonball.
It could be a cannonball.
We could just take it home, you know,
We should.
right?
I think the only responsible thing to do with a heavy metal sphere that's strangely shiny among all the burnt debris of this field is bring it home to where our children are.
And you could put it in your office, I think.
I will do that. I will put it in my office.
And see.
That was good. I really feel like I got the character of Tim.
Okay, so what is crazy is that is actually pretty much exactly what happened because they did think it was a cannonball.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, to give you more real details instead of just pretending. So, the Betts family, while investigating a brush fire that had swept through some of the trees on their property, they went out, they found this sphere. So, kind of like a big ass ball, about 8 inches in diameter, about 22 pounds.
Okay.
So about the size of a bowling ball, but heavier than a bowling ball.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they were like, this is weird. And it was like super shiny. It's like a perfectly round ball.
Huh.
And so they were like, that's fucking weird. And
is
so they
fucking
take
weird.
it home and Tim puts it in his office.
Why wouldn't you?
You know, right?
I guess so. Like, honestly, I'm not thinking anything crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I would be like, this is a cool thing that I'm going to pull out every time we have someone over and be like, look at this thing.
Yeah, we just found it in our yard.
Yeah.
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 So, they do live in Fort George Island, Florida. Mm-hmm. So,
I know it well.
Yeah, right. We've all been there. Know
Fort
it,
George
love
Island,
it.
Florida.
Grew up there.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
In another life.
This life.
I forgot Tim, of course.
Yeah.
We bought a house there.
I'm really getting into Tim's character.
So they bring it back to their house. They don't really think anything of it. If anything, they think, oh, this is probably a piece of history that had been buried for a while, and because of this fire, it has resurfaced.
Interesting. Okay.
And we could just take it home.
I don't know how that would work, but cool. Yeah.
I can't blame them for it.
Yeah, that's you got to come up with an explanation.
There begins the horror story. So you said
The
don't get in the
horror story.
water.
Yeah.
Don't bring strange objects that you find in your backyard inside.
This is why it's very good that I'm married to the man I'm married to, because his anxiety would have prevented me from doing that very thing. But go on. I would love to know why.
So it's not truly a horror story. Nobody died. But weird things did start to happen once they brought the sphere inside.
Gotcha.
So the Betts family, they had a couple of kids. One of the kids ended up taking the ball, and he was playing guitar.
Okay.
Because it's the 70s, everybody's in a band. Who's not in a band?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, everyone's in a band. Everyone's playing guitar, everyone's smoking weed, and it's trash weed.
Everybody's having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the first iteration weed.
Yeah, it's garbage weed.
Yeah.
Reefer madness.
Because we've never had that in the United States before. Everybody else keeps the good stuff, gives us the shitty stuff.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's playing his guitar and he realizes that he and his friend, they're like, there's this weird humming sound happening. Different than the cicadas. If you're thinking, oh, it's just cicadas.
Actually, so crazy. Out in your yard, I found this silver ball.
Right?
And I brought it in.
And it's full of cicadas.
And it's full of cicadas.
Seclitter lives!
Seclitter.
So, he's with his friend, and so he stops playing guitar. He's like, that's really weird. Like, where's this sound coming from? Mm-hmm. Kind of like, my ears are ringing. Are your ears ringing?
Yeah.
And so they're like flipping off the lights. Maybe it's a light bulb, whatever. And they realize that it's actually coming from the sphere. And they realize that playing different chords on their guitar elicit a different sort of thrum sound.
Really?
From the sphere itself.
Really?
Yeah. And then their dog comes upstairs and like comes into the room, and now the dog can like hear this sound. Mm-hmm. And the dog lays down and like covers his ears.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they're like, obviously, this is not in her head. So this is being witnessed by a dog and 2 people at this moment in time.
Okay.
So then he takes the ball to his family because he's like, what the fuck, guys? Mm-hmm. This is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so then what they started to do, like anybody would with a ball, is they started to like roll it around on the floor.
Sure. Would have done it by now.
Right. Yeah. 100%. I would have rolled it home. 22 pounds is way too heavy for me.
I wouldn't have been out in the yard. I'm like, probably burned out there.
I would have never assessed the fire. Yeah. That's none of my business.
That's between the fire and God.
Right. Yeah. Right. So he brings the ball downstairs, and they start rolling it back and forth, and they also notice an odd thing that the ball does. So let's say if I were to roll it to you, the ball would actually roll, change directions, and kind of like in a way that wouldn't necessarily make sense, and then come back to me.
Really?
Yeah, they have it described as rolling forward like a foot, turning, rolling, turning again, and then rolling back to the person who rolled it.
Interesting.
So they're like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like that weird. Seems odd, right?
Yeah.
So we've got the noise happening, this weird rolling things. They're like, we should probably investigate more.
Yeah.
On our own.
Okay. No, you go, and then I will.
No, you say your thought.
So, well, I'm wearing my cynic hat.
Yeah.
And so far, it's only been the family and a friend.
Right.
And a dog that has noticed this.
Yes. So they were like, let's keep doing some weird experiments with it. And what they do is they set it on like a glass table.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you know, our old house has uneven floors.
Sure.
So it could just be that. Mm-hmm. You know, we don't know. And so they set it on this glass table, and they roll the ball, and it never fell off. So it just kept rolling kind of around like this.
Physically impossible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on its own. Like inertia doesn't work that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it would just keep going, or it would stop, right?
Exactly.
Because they were like, this is definitely like a solid ground. Like this is level 100%. So then they start to like show their friends because they're like, isn't this some weird stuff?
Okay, so now they're showing their friends.
And while they're showing it to their friends, kind of like, you know, fooling with the ball, they also notice.
Love doing that.
we might need to get divorced. I have some suspicions about your preferences.
If I had known this was a ball themed episode, I would have gotten all the ball jokes out beforehand.
Now they're just going to be sprinkled.
They will derail this show.
I don't think you can derail this show.
Fair. Okay. Anyways, sorry.
It's like the sphere. It's always going to come back.
It's coming back around.
We're going to get close to the edge of the table, and we're going to come right back.
All right, so tell me about their balls.
So, still the same ball. We're monogamous with the same ball. Okay. It's one ball.
One ball.
And
Lance Armstrong.
And so, like I said, they've got some people coming over. They're still kind of like poking, prodding it, seeing what the ball does and doesn't do.
Yeah.
And they notice that the ball has like a low-grade magnetic field.
That's also interesting.
So you can like stick a paperclip to it.
Okay.
And it's not like super stuck. It's not like
but there's really obviously some magnetism.
Yeah, like it's going to stick to it, but you can pull it off.
Okay.
Right? So like, all right, that's a little odd. Mm-hmm. Well, one of their friends, because it's, you know, kind of a small town.
Yeah.
Friends with a photographer at the local news station. Or at the local newspaper, sorry. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you got to go check out the Betts' balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It sets itself up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to go check out this sphere that they found in their yard. It's so crazy. And this dude is like, I literally really don't believe you, actually.
Fair. That's a fair thing. Yeah.
And so he is like, I can't really believe you, but, you know, stories are scarce. I guess I'll go check it out.
I mean, in the 70s, there's a serial killer every other week, but anyways.
Right? It's like, maybe don't
Yeah.
do this. And their house, that was like, they literally nicknamed it the castle. Like, it kind of had one of those.
Like a turret?
Like a tower thingy? Is that what that is?
I think that's a turret.
Yeah.
Turret.
And it looks like a very beautiful house. I don't have a picture to show you, but...
I'm imagining it. And it's beautiful.
Just talking about like serial killers on like a plot of land in the middle of nowhere, Florida. Don't go there.
Yeah, don't.
And don't bring anything home that you find there. So he's like, I guess screw it, I don't have anything better to do. So he goes and he photographs the family with the ball. He photographs the ball and is witness to the ball rolling on the floor and then coming back to the same person.
Okay.
So he leaves, and he's like, I kind of believe this, actually. Like, believe that it is what they're saying it is.
Yeah.
But nobody has any satisfying theory as to why it is the way that it is.
Yeah.
They're basically just like, this is an unexplained object. So everybody in town pretty much agrees. He writes a paper.
Okay.
Or he writes an
like
article for the newspaper about it. He puts them in it. And then all of a sudden, it blows up. Nationwide news. The army is calling, trying to make sure that it's not a bomb. So the Navy comes knocking at the door and says, give me your balls. And Mrs. Betts actually makes them sign a contract that says,
You'll give us our balls back?
You'll give us our balls back.
Yeah.
So they take it.
It's called a prenup.
And then that's actually how all prenups work, is that somebody gets balls and somebody...
You give them back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a real boomer joke, but I just felt like I would do it.
I like the part where you said, So she's like, look, you can take it, but you have to give it back, especially if you don't find that it's dangerous or anything like that.
Right.
Which is that's what the Army and the Navy are looking at.
They just want to make sure it's not
a bomb.
A bomb.
Yeah.
Probably isn't.
So they take it, they do some tests on it. Now, the interesting thing that happened while they took it to do some tests, so they tried to do an MRI on it, so to like see inside of the ball.
Okay.
And the first attempt at the MRI like failed. Like you couldn't see it. Like it was too dense.
Well, that makes sense.
Because it's metal.
It's metal.
Right? So then they had to attempt to do it again. And then at that point, you can actually see that there is a small, like, apple-ish size hollow.
Okay.
In the middle. And then the, like, sphere itself is sort of made of, like, layers of metal that kind of, like, that encapsulate it. So there is some varying densities of the metal that come out.
Like different layers of metal?
Yeah. So like, kind of imagine that you, like, dunked an apple over and over and over and over again.
Okay, I was picturing like a Russian nesting doll of...
Oh, no. Like, basically just like the metal that was used was not the same metal all the way through the, like the shell part of it. And then in the center, they noticed that there's 3 other like smaller objects that are in there, like 3 other balls.
3 other balls.
3 other balls.
Okay.
So it's the larger ball, then there's a ball-shaped center with 3 balls inside. So I guess technically
it's their balls.
It's a multi-ball story.
It's balls. Sometimes there's balls.
Sometimes it's a multi-ball.
Sometimes it's a multi-ball story.
You know? Sometimes
Don't
it's just a singular ball.
Don't we know about that? Don't we know about those balls?
So they're like, all right, this is kind of weird. But none of their tests show that it is dangerous. None of their tests show that it is, in fact, going to explode. It's not an explosive. But it reveals some other interesting characteristics about the ball.
Okay.
And that is, 1, it is hollow on the inside, and then there's stuff on the inside. Now, how do you put stuff on the inside of like a 2-inch thick, like metal shell?
Right.
So usually what you do is you cut it in half, put the stuff in there, and then you put it back together. But you'd have a seam on the outside. Or you could drill into the center of it, deposit your goods, and then pull out of the ball.
Yep.
But then again, you'd still have a little seam because you'd have that, which you would likely see.
And this is smooth balls.
On an MRI.
Yeah.
None of that exists.
Interesting. I would just like to say I'm totally engrossed right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's so interesting.
So they're like, okay, that is weird. The only thing that is really visible on the outside, there are some scratches, but it's a pretty pristine, like stainless steel outside.
Okay.
And then there's like a tiny triangle etched on one side.
A tiny triangle.
A tiny triangle. It was like the only like identifying mark on the outside of it.
Interesting.
They also noticed that it emanates like low-level radio waves around the sphere.
Radio waves?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're like, okay,
it's
odd.
like low level.
Yes, radiation. Yeah. So they're like, there is a magnetic field, and they noticed, which the family didn't notice. I don't know how you would notice this inside of your own home if you didn't, weren't looking for it. Apparently, that magnetic field that was around the ball was actually different and stronger at different points along it. So it had essentially 4 different magnetic fields, and some of them were stronger than others.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we've got it responds to sound with that low-level thrum. If you roll it, it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Even uphill, they ended up learning, is that even if it goes...
If you roll it...
Like if you
roll it downhill, it'll come back uphill?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So now we're at the U.S. government is...
They're fully involved. They're discovering
They're the ones that are discovering these things.
Yeah. So, like, the family itself knew about the magnetic field, knew about the thrum, knew about the rolling. And then the Navy is discovering the radio waves, the separate magnetic fields, kind of how that works. Mm-hmm. And so now people are all over it.
So, yeah, that's... Because the thing that I immediately was holding on to is... It's like when spiritualism started gaining ground and there's people doing seances and they're... Like, it's very convincing hoaxes.
Yes.
That kind of thing. Like, somebody's got a remote control type of ball or something. Like something. But the fact that it went to the military, they're doing all these tests. The military has no reason to do a hoax.
Right.
That was the thing that was holding me back. That's weird.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
And they're full on trying to figure out if it's dangerous. Obviously, like I said, they decide it's not a bomb. They decide it's not dangerous. They give it back to the Betzes.
Okay.
But because of this article, and because... So the article comes out, and then word gets out that the Navy has taken it, and then the newspaper ends up interviewing the guy from the Navy. Mm-hmm. Now, the guy from the Navy, I forget his name, Captain So-and-so.
Yeah.
He goes, honestly... I don't really know what it is, but it doesn't really seem like that big of a deal because it's not a bomb.
You know what's really funny?
What?
Is that in this instance, the U.S. Navy is more forthcoming than the glitter industry.
Isn't that weird?
That's so weird.
Yeah, because he full on did this interview. He talked to them, but he was very much on the side of like, I don't know why everybody's freaking out. And like, everybody else is like, then why did you look at it? You know what I mean?
Why? What? You don't understand why people are freaking out. It's weird. Not that, like, because if he's thinking, like, well, it's safe, that's not the question.
Right.
Anymore.
Exactly.
The question is, what is it?
What is it? But why?
What is it? Why is it behaving the way it behaves?
And he truly, in the article, is like, well, their floors are uneven in their house.
No.
And again, we've done, like, multiple people have taken it at this point and seen this weird rolling thing.
Yeah.
But he's like, honestly, this is the other kind of fun thing about it. It's a perfectly circular object.
Which is so hard to do.
Which is very, very hard to do. Which, in his mind, he's thinking, well, then any kind of knock can throw off the balance and then it'll change direction. Okay. So for him, he's like, it's totally normal. Don't worry about it.
But I guess, so I struggle with that answer. Mm-hmm. And because they did test. Are you trying to tell me that the military did not roll this ball around?
They did.
And were the military's tables uneven?
Nope. They're just like, it's perfectly round. Anything could happen.
But it's one thing for it to go and then curve a little bit or something as it goes because something knocked it, whatever, a slight divot. But for it to continually behave in the same manner doesn't make sense.
Right.
Damn, this is a good episode. Yeah. Okay.
I've gotcha.
And it's something I've never heard of.
So, I had never heard of it either.
Yeah.
Okay, so, like I said, the public is very enthralled. The same way you're enthralled,
Yeah.
everybody else is enthralled. They're like, okay, super great that it's not dangerous, but somebody needs to tell me what the fuck this ball is.
Yeah.
So article after article gets written. It becomes nationwide news. People start calling the Bettses day in, day out. We've got East Coast, West Coast, middle of the country. Everybody wants to know something about it. They're up their Betts' ass trying to be like, can I have the ball? Can I have the ball? Can I have the ball?
Yeah. Well, and I imagine, so this is why I originally was cynical, because I'm like, there's money to be made in this story.
So somebody knocks on their door. And they said, I'll give you $700,000 in cash for this ball.
They don't even have to finish the sentence. Whatever you want. Done.
But so that's
they could be like, you need to take that ball and put it up your ass. I'm like, give me an hour and I will do it.
I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
But Mrs. Betts, she's smart, all right? She's got a real good head on her shoulders. And she's like, that's an insane amount of money. I don't know that I believe you. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So somebody did do
She's smarter than I am.
did crunch the numbers. $700,000 in 1974 is somewhere in the millions of dollars.
Sure,
today's
absolutely.
money.
That's 50 years ago.
So it's a fuck ton of money. So she does her own research. She says, get off my property. Let me look into your offer.
Yeah.
So that was a hoax. People were just trying to get the ball.
They were trying to get the ball from her.
From her, right? For notoriety, for something nobody knows.
Well, I think when you have an item of such curiosity and interest, that's the only reason. That can be the only reason.
They were probably going to pitch it to
Yeah.
1974 Netflix
Yeah.
for its own show
Yeah.
or something like that.
A reality show. It's a reality show where this ball's trying to find love.
Exactly.
And
will she roll into love?
will she roll into love? Find out this fall. On
Rolling
Netflix.
into love with the Betts family sphere.
And the thing is, like, who is she? Like, who are the people? Is it other spheres? Is it cubes? No, it's all hot men that
Really want to fuck
really want
steel
to
ball.
fuck that ball.
Yeah. So it's shockingly that is actually exactly what happened.
Isn't it crazy that Netflix has never reached out to us?
I think so. Netflix, you could be funding this podcast.
Netflix, you could be funding my life.
Yeah.
Listen, you throw so many things at the wall. We can be one of them.
Honestly, we only want one season. You
And
can
that's
do
all
that
you're
weird
gonna
thing
give
where
us
you
anyway.
when you cancel all of your shows one season in.
And for us, the fans will be glad.
Yeah.
When you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so will our bank accounts. Because
Yeah.
the overhead for this,
Yeah.
very small. You could
Very
just pay
small.
us all of the money that you would otherwise spend on other shows.
Maddie, the overhead is high.
The overhead is a lot, but
It's
you should give it to us to spend.
And we'll manage it. Yeah.
We've been doing a really good job so far.
Yeah, good catch. Yeah.
Thanks. What would I do without you?
Yeah.
Goodness. So this is the kind of bombardment that they're under. So at some point, this family takes off. They're doing a family vacation. They're like, we got to get the fuck out of the public eye.
Yes.
Did you ever think your balls would make you famous?
Yes. From a young age.
From a young age. I actually knew. I had a dream.
The second puberty hit, I was like, that's my money makers.
They dropped out and they said, ka-ching. As they fell. So they go on a vacation. They get another call. They get a call from a researcher from the Omega-1 Institute in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Which I looked up, Omega-1. And it appears to be to me, from a single Google search.
Cool. Yeah. All the information you need.
That it was a thing.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, but it also, I've been reading a lot of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but it really sounds like the sci-fi name of a fake research institute.
I mean, Omega-1, what are they researching?
So, I don't know
Okay.
what they were doing in general.
Then I have guesses.
But I do know, because I looked up, I was like, what the fuck does omega -1 mean? And then I found like a 50-page scientific article that was something about the sine curve and omega and -1. And I was like, cool, seems legit to me.
Okay, so maybe they studied like advanced mathematics, including like advanced geometry and stuff like that.
They must.
Which would, or physics. That could be some physics bullshit. And the ball would appeal to them for that.
For that reason,
Yeah.
right? And so Mrs. Betts is like, that actually kind of legit. I could send it to you. So she sends it to them. They do some research on it. And one of the researchers spends like 6 hours staring at the ball.
Yeah.
And he, again, observes the magnetic field.
He falls in love with the ball.
That's the way the Netflix show ends. He runs away with the ball, and they have beautiful triangle-shaped babies. You'd be surprised.
Oh, yeah. Genetics. Anyway, sorry.
So he stares at the ball for 6 hours, and by stares at, I mean he performs tests and does science.
Yeah,
and
he
blah,
does.
Blah, blah,
He
blah, blah.
isn't just like, it's gonna do something.
Waiting for something to happen. So what he again finds is the magnetic field, and he finds the radio waves again around the sphere.
Okay.
So we've sort of corroborated the story.
Many people have said radio waves, magnet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to roll weird, do the things. Now, in that particular one, I didn't read anything about him doing Rolly tests on it.
Yeah.
But that'll come later.
Yeah.
So, he sends the ball back, and he's like, I do think that this is a real weird thing, but I do think it is man-made in origin.
Huh.
Now brings the conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Now, this is right before the government is going to get back involved.
Okay.
No one is convinced that it's a man-made object.
But they don't think it's a naturally
Occurring
object. Yeah.
We think
Gorillas.
it was, right.
Yeah.
It is a defective probe or some sort of alien technology that was like mistakenly dropped off or broken off of something and landed in their backyard.
Okay. Okay.
So it's like a piece of a UFO or something like that.
So, I mean, naturally, I would say shenanigans.
Yeah.
But it doesn't not make sense.
Because nothing else at this point really is satisfying it, because the only other answers are it's a really super round ball that's not a bomb, and it appears to be man-made.
Yeah, so I guess, okay, because the big hurdle we have to get over, and I know that we've talked even on this show about the Pentagon and what they've said about UFOs and things like that. But it's, if you get over the big hurdle of just supposing that UFOs come here,
Yeah.
that aliens observe us for whatever reason, if that is the assumption that you're going into with this, then yeah, that makes total sense, because it emits radio waves. The magnetism would work. The radioactivity would make sense. And it being defective, that's probably could explain the strange mobility. And it could also explain why we don't understand its construction.
Especially since, so what's fun about this too is looking back at it from post 2023.
Yeah.
Where we've had the real life government come out and say this tic-tac looking object, which was like a smooth, cylindrical looking.
It was the Seclitoris.
The Seclitors.
It's the Seclitors.
That's where all the glitter is going. I don't know why I didn't say that in that episode. To be like, yeah, that's a legit thing that we can't explain.
Yeah, so which I struggle with that still. Not in a way that it keeps me up at night or anything, but
Yeah.
Nothing does. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired.
But it's still one of your deepest, darkest struggles.
It is one of my deepest, darkest struggles. Is I feel like I can't take that on faith. The Pentagon thing, but we do live in a world where what we know is that the United States government has said to another part of the United States government that UFOs are real and we found them.
Right.
More or less.
And they're not necessarily saying that it's alien technology.
But they're
just saying that we don't know
what it is. Now, yeah, so here's, I guess, okay. Okay, you go. No,
I'm actually looking for your rating here. So that's my next question to you.
Okay, so let me talk it out then. Okay, so would it be... Put ourselves in this situation.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Lord knows it was all us. We got us here. Okay, we are finches on the Galapagos Islands.
Right.
Just finching around, flying. And unbeknownst to us, this being of seemingly higher power and technology has been studying us.
Right.
We find a pencil. And we're like, holy shit, what the fuck is this weird stick?
Yeah. And
if you scrape on this one side, draw. If you scrape on this other side, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, just take that, but now to our level, it's sort of the same. If there was a species of extraterrestrial beings monitoring us for science purposes, and we don't even have to question why, because science is for science's sake.
Right.
Then it is not out of the question that we would barely have any real evidence of it.
Right.
However, how much am I ready to believe that?
It's a fair point.
But I think it is still more likely. This is so intriguing in that there's no it's not just the family making money off the news of this, that the government and a research institute has also noticed these things. I guess I have to give a 5 out of 10 because my gut says that we would be jumping to conclusions to say it's not man-made.
Right.
But a lot of people have said we don't know how this is made.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's I think 5 out of 10 is fair. I'm going to put myself honestly at a 5 out of 10 because there is enough about it that it is drawing people from research institutes. The actual government came and like knocked on their door.
Yeah.
Now, again, was that to determine a lot of this was just to determine safety, right?
Yes.
So I don't know that they went into it being like, we got to see if these people have a piece of a alien ship.
Well, that may not have been it. So the government may have just been looking, let's see if this is a bomb. No. Okay. Yeah. That research institute is looking and studying it.
Right.
So that's a little different.
Because it's like, if it was just a regular thing that people made, why would the research institute want it?
They would maybe even be able to tell from the reports, oh, it was made like this. I don't know. Because I don't know what they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially given that, again, it's perfectly balanced. It's a perfect sphere. It's perfectly, like, glossed over. No seams, no nothing. It's just odd. It's just odd.
Yeah.
So the researcher gives it back to the Betzes. And then another scientist reaches out. And his name is Dr. J. Allen Hynek. And at the time, he was at the Northwestern University in Illinois.
Okay.
Now, he is a UFO expert.
Well, there it is.
He is. Now, before you start getting too cynical about it...
It's too late. There's no such thing as a UFO expert.
So, before he's colloquially known as a UFO expert. Now, let me tell you a little bit about him and his life. So he's a physicist and astrologist.
Okay.
So he does actually have a doctor in a real science.
Okay. Does he employ it?
He does. He's a professor.
Yeah.
Of these things. Now, the government comes to him back in the 1940s. This is just a little bit about this doctor.
Okay.
So back in the 1940s, they knock on his door and they say, "Are you a bad German?" And he said, "I'm not even German." And then
I was like, "Stop working for the Nazis."
It's a callback to the glitter episode.
Yep.
Because the government will do that. And they say, hey, you seem to know a lot about physics and stars and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that's my bread and butter, dog.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, he's like, that gets me off.
It
gets me off almost as much
he
as
was hard
really,
right then.
Yeah. Like, really, like, super smooth balls. But there weren't any in the 1940s.
But, like, super smooth balls of gas up in space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they said, excellent. We're looking for somebody with just your credentials. White man, educated. Mm-hmm. This is the 1940s.
Oh, my gosh. I'm so sorry to derail us for a second. But talking about big balls up in space. Do you remember that one comedian that was at open mics?
I fucking love him.
He's so okay, this comedian he's got to be maybe 60.
I think so.
Like pretty old for like an open mic night. And just the most unhinged nerd I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god, he's so funny.
He was so erratic.
Yes.
And then would just be like the big balls are red, but it's the blue balls that are really hot. And then, like, there was no discernible punchline.
No.
But the way he delivered it was like, oh, God, I forgot his name. Anyways, crazy guy.
He was, and his like, stage name is, like, something Big Balls of Gas or something
Something
like that.
Big Balls of Gas, yeah.
Oh my god, we gotta find him.
We've gotta find him.
He would actually have been so good to have on this episode.
Been so into this.
Yes. He probably would even have heard of this, I bet.
Yeah. Sorry, it popped in my mind.
Maybe he's a descendant. Maybe J. Allen Hynek is his granddad.
Or his dad.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be his
dad. I don't know. I'm math.
Okay. So, in the 1940s, the government started a UFO deal, like a UFO project.
Yeah, it's Project Blue Book.
We're getting to Project Blue. First, it was Project Sign.
Okay.
And that's where they brought in this doctor. Mm-hmm. And during that, he was very skeptical, but he was, like, very open-minded. And he did come out of that, and he was like, honestly, there were a couple of things that I can't explain. Mm-hmm. Most everything else, he's like, based on all of my knowledge because he knows everything.
Yes.
That was just an astrological phenomenon and like plastic or something, right? Yeah. So he comes out of that, but there are a couple of things that he was not able to explain.
Okay.
And so people are not super satisfied, but the government doesn't really want to like do this anymore. Mm-hmm. So the government's
like, we're done.
The government truly was like, literally, we're done. So they turn around in 1949, they do Project Grudge, which they literally named it that because they were so salty about having to open up more like unidentified object files.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love the pettiness.
They were so petty. So then that lasts for a year. Dr. J. Allen Hynek was not like the lead doctor person. And it was another guy who basically just went in and said, there is no such thing as a UFO. This is ridiculous. We're scientists. Like, take us seriously.
Yes.
Now, that's something that J. Allen Hynek has said in his life. Like, one of the shitty things about it was that people kind of looked at him as if he was a quack. But he was like, I was just really, really looking at stuff that we didn't know what it was, and then I figured out what it was. Like, that was his job. Yeah. So people then were like, oh, you're a UFO expert, right? Because there was a chance.
Actually, an unidentified object expert.
Yes.
And they're just like, okay, flying saucers.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay, crazy person who believes in aliens.
Okay, I take back
your cynicism.
Some of it.
Okay, so then in 1950, literally a year after Project Grudge, because it didn't go very well, because you also can't be like, nothing is unidentified and everybody else is an idiot before people are like, this is a toxic workplace.
Yes.
So then they started Project Blue Book.
Okay.
And that is where Dr. J. Allen Hynek comes back into the picture.
Gotcha.
So he's in this. Now, Project Blue Book didn't end until 1969.
Yes.
So he's involved with the government this entire time. Mm-hmm. Now, the government has done at least one other, like, unidentified object, like, task force.
Yeah.
And that was from 2007 to 2012, and that was called Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program.
Okay, I actually think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what I thought was interesting about Project Blue Book was then it brought me back, because I listened to our episode again about Project Bluebeam.
I know. We keep having repeating themes. Yeah.
And Project Bluebeam was written in the 70s.
1992.
1992?
Yeah, he was a journalist in the 70s.
Oh, he was a journalist in the 70s. So he would have seen all of this.
He would have seen this, yeah.
And then in the 70s, after Project Blue Book, I have a feeling Project Bluebeam is a play off of Project Blue Book.
Honestly,
that's my guess.
That would make the most sense, since we still don't know why.
Or what he thought about. He seemed to have a lot of thoughts.
Listen, his brain was boiling, so there doesn't have to be logic.
So, we were like, okay, we'll give it to this UFO expert guy.
Yeah.
So he takes it. He also says, okay, I think it's man-made, but it is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's kind of on their side. Things kind of start to calm down because now you've got multiple people who are from research institutes saying, not this. It's not from outer space. Okay?
Right.
So they give it back to the Betzes, but then an odd knock on the door.
Okay.
So an odd knock on the door comes and there is a convention. So there was also another group of people who had gotten together as a convention. It was for a magazine at the time. And you would think not even something that you would take seriously.
Mm-hmm.
However, the magazine brought together experts.
Got it.
On whatever their field is, right? So you've got your astrological experts, you've got all of the your physicists, your mathematicians, everybody. Now, these group of people convince the Betzes to give them the sphere.
Mm-hmm.
And they take it. They do the experiment of on a fully flat table.
Yeah.
Roll it around.
Mm-hmm.
And they come out in the article and say it never fell off the table. It just kept rolling around.
So wild.
So now this is also kind of where the conspiracy ends,
Okay.
where the trail of information ends, but
Mm-hmm.
the conspiracy theory stays strong.
That it's a UFO.
That it's from a UFO, because after they had said all of this and they'd basically been we're trying to use this as the point of the convention was to find discernible proof of UFOs or of alien technology. And after this, rumor has it made it back to the Betzes family, but that's never actually been confirmed. To this day, nobody knows where the sphere is.
That's interesting. I will say, and I think you will agree with me, that it's not very scientific to have a convention to look for the proof of something.
It's true.
Yeah. That all of your everything is biased.
It was it's a gimmicky, right? Kind of like a game show. You have 36 hours to bring me proof of alien life.
If it was a convention to discuss whether or not there is proof of alien life, that's another thing entirely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like a bad movie plot, some rich man holds a convention of you have 48 hours to bring me some proof.
Exactly. Because that's what it was. I think there was potentially a prize, if somebody could bring forth something really convincing.
Yeah. Man, that's not how anything works.
No, it's not. But what's odd is that, again, it was a room full of smart people. And nobody knows where the ball really ended up after that.
So, okay, there are points where if I'm trying to look at through the lens of these people saying it's man-made, that then lead to questions. First thing, I guess if it's the first thing, if it's man-made, why? Why was it made?
Yeah,
right?
What does it do?
What does it do? And I think if some of the brightest minds, I'm assuming, and the military can't understand what it is or how it's made, how is it made?
Right.
And then that leads to, I think, weirdly, the biggest question, that if I had an answer to that, maybe it would help solve other things.
Yeah.
what was it doing on the Betts' property?
That's the other question. One of the other widely accepted theories, because again, nobody knows for sure.
Yeah.
There was a manufacturing plant near-ish, like how lots of cities, lots of towns have some kind of a manufacturing plant of something.
Yeah. A lot of small towns revolve around that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there was a plant that was nearby. They did manufacture things, and at some point, a spokesperson for the plant did come out and say, "We do manufacture steel balls."
Okay.
However, that doesn't also really answer all of the questions, because why are you manufacturing steel balls with all of these crazy properties? What are you using them for? It didn't really seem like it fit.
It brings more questions and doesn't answer the original question. Sure, that may be close by. How did it get onto the Betts' property?
Right.
It doesn't matter if it came from 10 miles away or 10,000 miles away. How did it get there?
Yeah. Right. Who had it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did somebody own it?
Why was there a fire seemingly surrounding the introduction of this steel ball to the Betts'?
Exactly.
And then, you don't produce... Do you produce this?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Why would it have come from you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even though there is somebody coming out basically saying we make steel balls, it's still weird because it has all of these other exactly like you're saying. Why are you producing? What do we need a steel ball with a magnetic field for?
Yeah. What's it doing?
Yeah.
I mean, surely this was the precursor to the Segway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very similar.
It was the prototype for that, it was wheelie
the prototype
vacuum.
for the wheelie vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it would make more sense if it was a factory with government contracts.
Yeah.
Because I could see this being some experimental thing that could lead to a lot of innovation.
Yeah.
But steel balls isn't doing it for me. A factory with steel balls.
And anything else. There is one other. Now, I only found I did some of this only came from one source. There's not a whole lot of really credible sources out there for all of this.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is I'm usually not on this side of things, and that's bothering me.
So another crazy thing, and I haven't brought it up yet because I don't even know if I believe it, but apparently the steel that was used for the ball, remember how I said it was there's different densities within the ball? Okay, well, that outer shell apparently was also it was a steel alloy.
Okay.
Which means at the time, according to one of the sources that I read, the highest proton count of something that was naturally occurring, this is still true, is uranium at 92.
Yeah.
So the atomic number would be 92.
Yes.
And then the greatest number of an alloy or a man-made element at the time was 104. And this particular steel was 140. So its elemental structure, its atomic structure was 140. It was a level that is greater than what you would find in a manufacturing plant or in nature.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as we know it possible in the natural world.
Right.
Well, that's interesting if that's true. So if the conspiracy theory is aliens, God damn it, I don't.
Right? It's kind of.
I don't have a good answer. So, yeah, because again, whenever we talk about a family coming forward with a weird thing, hoax.
Yeah.
That's immediately what I'm thinking. If they go to the news and they're making money, they have a motive to lie to you.
Right.
The government doesn't have a motive to lie to you. The Omega -1 place doesn't have... Well, okay, the government has so many motives to lie to you.
Yeah,
but maybe not about this steel ball. Omega -1 doesn't have motive to lie to you about this. The convention has many motives to lie to you about this.
Right.
But they were the last on the scene.
Yeah, and again, the convention thing did also come from the same source. So, well, I'll just say everything has about the same weight as far as credibility.
Yeah. Yeah, so
And it is true that nobody knows where the ball is now.
how come never... Nope.
Well, it could be that what happened, everybody looked at it, everybody who had any authority said, yeah, it's man-made. And then the hysteria just died down, and they just took the ball, or they threw it in the trash.
They took their ball and went home.
Yeah.
Or more likely, a janitor came across and was like, "This is garbage," and threw it away on accident.
Threw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be as simple as they just took it home, somebody threw it away. Like that could be where it begins and ends. It was a weird thing, and it was man-made, but nobody really gets why.
The disappearance isn't a big deal for me.
Okay.
Because it's changing hands so many times, and it's going to now a group of many people. The more people involved, the higher the likelihood that you're not going to see that thing again.
Right.
So that's whatever. I don't think it went home. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't think that the aliens called it back to the mothership. But
so you don't think it's like a cover-up? Like somebody was like, this is really alien technology, so I have to keep it from getting back.
Like a Men in Black situation?
Yeah.
Not without any evidence. Yeah. Do I think that? It's Occam's razor, right? I think that usually the simplest answer is correct, which is what's frustrating about this. But for that specific thing, a lot of hands means it's
going to disappear.
It's going to disappear.
Yeah.
Someone's going to take that home.
Yeah.
Sorry. But the Occam's razor doesn't really apply to anything else here because I can't think of what the simplest explanation is. Fuck, I can, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
The simplest, if not most fantastical explanation is that it did not come from Earth.
Yeah.
Because this is not technology that we understand.
Mm-hmm.
If we're accepting the proton thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen here.
Right.
It's beyond our capabilities to even craft this, much less understand what it is doing or why it is doing it.
Yeah, why it is doing it.
And there's evidence to speak of a crash landing. So that... Unfortunately, I just hate that so much. So, but maybe that is it. If all of this information over the last 50 years has not been a long game of telephone that turned into something else, is the other thing. But
which it very well could have been.
And grasping at straws with the information presented, assuming that it's correct.
Yeah.
I don't have a good answer.
I think that is fair. I struggle exactly like you. I struggle with the why because like everybody of authority in this story said that it was a man-made object, which is fine. But like a lot of our other conspiracy theories and stories that lead to conspiracy theories, that's not a satisfying answer because why did we make it?
Why did we make it, and who made it, and how?
And who made it, and how? Because you're not answering those questions. So I'm fully willing to accept that it was a man-made object.
Yeah, but
I'm just not willing to accept that there's not a larger story here.
And maybe it fell out of a plane.
Maybe
it fell out of a helicopter. And that's how it got in the...
Maybe it was like a really big clam.
It could be, yeah.
It's the metal pearl.
It's just a metal pearl.
Maybe Pokemon are real.
Yeah, did you know that the pearls from the clams, they're magnetic and will also never fall off a table?
That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah,
you know?
it seems like that's probably...
That's how you test to know if your pearls are real.
They're all steel.
Mother of pearl, that is a steel alloy. Yeah.
So I do, and like, not to keep harping on, but like, none of this is going to make sense to me until I know why it was in their backyard.
I think that is so interesting because we've picked out two different why questions that we're both stuck on.
Yes.
Because I'm stuck on why did we make it?
Why did we make it? I also am stuck on that, but I feel like I could work backwards if I knew why it was in their yard.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you do make a good point because they found it because of a fire.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, did it crash land and cause the fire?
Yeah. And if it did crash land, did it crash land from where? Did it fall off another man-made object?
Yeah.
Did it come from space?
Yeah.
And those are your two options.
Right.
Yeah. I think.
Did it come from the dog?
Did it come from the dog?
Like, was it, like, you know how sometimes your dog is, like, a super genius?
Yes.
And, like, creates... Sometimes babies can be geniuses, too.
Yeah,
And
actually, have you seen the movie Baby Geniuses?
I sure have one and two.
Yeah. So that's one of those, my dad took me to see that when it was in theaters. Because I must have been 8, 7, I don't know, young. That's one of those things where I look back at how bad that movie was, and I'm like, man, my dad loves me. Like, that was not fun for him.
It couldn't have been.
Yeah.
But I do remember loving it.
I fucking loved it.
I ate that shit up.
I was so invested. Anyway, sorry. Dogs, geniuses.
Dogs, geniuses, babies, geniuses could potentially,
yes,
create new steel ball
new steel ball
processes.
Yeah. I also, so I think that I'm losing a little of the thread on all the things it can do, because I'm just remembering now that it was not necessarily matching a tone, but it was changing tones when the guitar changed tones.
Yes.
And it was emitting at least enough of sound on some frequency that it hurt the dog's ears, allegedly.
Oh, which reminds me of the other thing that I didn't even mention that the ball could apparently do. So the other experiment that the family did was they left it in the sun for, 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then they brought it inside, and apparently it actually held the heat for 3 days.
Huh. Was this not concerning to them?
I think they were just very curious about it.
In the 70s, people had no sense of danger.
No.
They left their windows open at night. They invited strangers into their home.
Got in anybody's car.
These people deserve serial killers.
I don't know. I would love.
You heard it here first.
I would love to live in a world where you could get in anybody's car.
But you couldn't. People killed other people.
That's true. Like a lot of them.
I would love to live in that world too, but it didn't exist then. It's just so frustrating. This is invigorating and enticing and frustrating,
right?
Because, why was it there? Why was it made? How was it made? Who made it?
It's also interesting to me too, and I would love if anybody does know about this to tell me more. I can't find any other conspiracy theory. Like, there's no other explanations. It's either it was aliens or it wasn't.
Weird, because I can think of some that I would make up right off the top of my head.
That's what I'm saying.
Experimental weapon.
Right.
Experimental military probe.
Right.
That's it. Weird religious iconography.
Listen, maybe that Navy guy. Oh my god, Doug, do you know what it was?
What?
I didn't look up to see if there was an earthquake that took place right before this.
Oh my god.
This was the artifact that was supposed to start.
So,
even though it was 20 years before.
So here's the thing, is it didn't work.
This is the first we've ever heard of this sphere.
Yeah, it did not disprove a single religion.
Exactly. And I heard of it, 2 weeks ago? This was I was none the wiser until 2 weeks ago. I think
we could look back 50 years, but I'm pretty sure all the religions then are still here now.
I'm confident. I'm confident in those numbers.
Confident. I could talk about this for hours probably, because it would just be talking in circles.
That's it's a sphere. It's a perfect sphere.
Well, and I guess my other question, if this was man-made, using man-made technology, that man also made.
Right. That man made.
That man made that man.
Right. 100%.
Where's the others?
That's why I'm concerned about the manufacturing process. So okay, I low-key could believe that some weird dude was living in a hut in the middle of nowhere and was writing a manifest and created this weird ball.
Yeah.
But and that being the explanation for
this
why
ball
there's
is
only
my
one.
child. Yeah.
But again, because there was this manufacturing plant that created steel alloys for building shit and said, yeah, we make steel balls all the time. Why then why did anybody else get involved?
And I guess, so, okay, if I'm going down that rabbit hole, yes. Why wouldn't they just be like, that's our ball?
Right.
But that's it. That's actually, so, if it's man-made, why am I not seeing more of it?
Yeah.
And then why has nobody come forward to say, I made that, or I know who made that?
Maybe they died in the process.
Maybe they died, maybe it is their human soul was the last piece of it.
Like the Denver International Airport. Like the guy who made the horse.
Lucifer. Yeah. Yeah, it's all coming together.
Oh my god, it's Lucifer's egg.
Oh no. It's actually, so here's the thing. It's the egg Lucifer hatched from. Uh-huh. That's why we can't find it.
Right, and that's why it's hollow in the center.
That's why it's hollow, because of the little Lucifer.
Exactly.
I think we got it. Yeah.
You have to give it a final ranking.
Jesus.
Would it help if I give you mine?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm actually going to go what I feel like is pretty high on this one. And my ranking is, I don't think all of the questions are answered here. I'm fine with it being man-made, but if it is man-made, I don't think it was I don't think it's like a mass-produced object. I think it was something funky weird.
Yes.
And again, because knowing what I know now, Foresight's 2020 with the weird Tic Tac thing, that it was this like very smooth object. With those things kind of combined in my mind, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 and just say this is a mystery.
Yeah, so it's 3 out of 10 that it's UFO?
3
or
out of 10
it's man-made?
That it's something we don't understand.
Okay, so, I mean, 10 out of 10, we don't understand it. But what is your rating on it being alien?
On it being alien? 2 out of 10.
Okay. So my issue, anytime it comes to this is aliens, is the same problem I have when people say there's a ghost or there are angels or there are demons. No disrespect to anybody's religion. Is that we use that to jump to a conclusion for things we can't explain. And so that's why I always have this friction when it comes to saying, oh, it's aliens. It's because I don't want to just jump to a conclusion.
Right.
Like, just because we don't know what it is doesn't mean
that it was aliens.
It's aliens. However, in this weird situation, I can't definitively say it wasn't. So, yeah, it's a mysterious ball that mysteriously vanished.
Yeah.
So, actually, I'm going to give you 2 ratings.
Okay, I was about to say, what's your alien rating?
My alien rating, I think it's 3 out of 10.
Okay.
Because we don't seem to know anyone who can say how this was manufactured or what its purpose is.
Yeah.
And also, the 2023 Pentagon hearings, I feel like that has altered the perception of things a little bit for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. And then your second rating, what is your rating that it is man-made? Not from like a manufacturing plant. It's just made from some mysterious man-made process.
All right. We're on the same level because that was going to be my second rating.
Okay.
So that it was man-made. So separating out all the problems with a manufacturing process, it's possible that this was made and put there as some sort of hoax, but that doesn't make a lot of sense because it was put in some random person's property.
Yeah.
In the hope that they would be curious and one, find it, and 2, be curious enough that they would contact newspapers and have the military come. It doesn't seem likely that it's that, but if it isn't that, why was it there? And what is its purpose? So I think for the man-made one, 3 out of 10. I think they're both 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10.
Which makes it feel like it's 50-50, but it's not.
Yeah.
I just don't... Neither one of those are satisfying by any stretch. And, like, usually I save there's not satisfying evidence either way for 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
But there's so much detracting from both of these ideas.
I completely agree because there's just not enough information.
Yeah.
There's a story, but there's not enough else.
I think just a couple core questions that if they were answered, we would be able to answer everything else.
Yeah. I like your reasoning, and for that, and so I'm going to go 2 out of 10 for aliens, just because I will give some credit to this Dr. J. Allen guy, who seems to be like a pretty open-minded. Yeah, sometimes we can't explain things.
Yep.
But was saying it is man-made, so I'll go 2 out of 10 for alien, 3 out of 10 that it is man-made, but under spooky, mysterious circumstances.
Yeah. The problem is I don't have another answer between those two things.
Right?
Bigfoot?
I'm leaning towards a dude in a cabinet writing a manifest.
I could see that. I could see that some crazy genius.
Yeah.
Who just completely unhinged created this thing. And then I fucking set it free. I don't know. Like at the end of Air Bud.
Right?
Get out of here.
It's like Lilo and Stitch. It's just a mad scientist.
You go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's... I have never been so frustrated at the end of an episode. But in a good way. It's literally like what I said last week, watching Unsolved Mysteries at the end. I'm like, but tell me what it is.
Tell me what it is, right?
Yeah, I can't... Because there's so many things, where it may not be, we don't have an answer. Like the Pope John Paul, he probably murdered, but he was old. Or Havana syndrome, glitter. There's answers that are available.
But nobody's just giving them to us.
It's a question of, like how much do I believe these answers that are available? If there are answers available here, nobody's giving them to us. Yeah. And I can't fathom what they might be.
Yeah. It's just weird.
It's weird.
It really kind of, it's a head scratcher a little bit.
It's a head scratcher.
I'm surprised that this one doesn't have more traction.
Truly, Illuminati, though, like...
there's nothing like that. Just, this is this weird thing that happened.
Lizard people brought it up from the core of the earth.
Yeah. And almost the lack of traction is like almost a point in its favor.
The fact that people... I've never seen conspiracy theorists be on the same page about anything. Yeah. You go to r/conspiracy theories, they will bicker about the smallest of details of what you're talking about. So for there to only be it's man-made or it's alien is wild. It's wild.
It really was. And I went through r/conspiracy theories to make sure that there weren't any others.
Well, and even under man-made, why aren't there more conspiracy theories about that? Yeah. It's like it's man-made and it's fine, or it's aliens.
Right? Because I could easily sit here and like talk to you and I bet I could feed you a perfectly plausible story about that's why the government was so invested. They were the first ones on the scene. Yes. They took it. Truly. Because they had to because it was some sort of weapon, they had to make sure that it wasn't going to blow up on this family.
Maybe they were controlling the narrative, which was easier to do in the 70s.
And so once they realized that this weird thing that they made was not going to blow up on them, they gave it back and they said, whatever, if you want to take an alien direction on this, then nobody's looking at us. Yeah. Right? But nobody was saying that.
Yeah. I do believe that the government misdirects us sometimes, but I don't see why that would be a good thing to do here. Yeah. And again, the problem with conspiracy theories about that, which there aren't any about this, but is that there is a high likelihood of a whistleblower. Especially 50 years in, that somebody would have said something.
Because more people, the guy who's running the MRI machine. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, yeah, my final thoughts are I don't know. Yeah.
This one is a real mystery.
This is so funny. The amount of jokes we made just like slowly
I was thinking that down too.
Because we were just so like, but why?
Fully, why?
Yeah. Which is so funny. It's so funny that happened. Because also at the right before we started recording, you're like, this is probably going to be a short episode. It's not. We're at an hour and a half.
Yeah. And we are kind of going in circles because you can't stop.
Because it's round.
Yeah.
It's perfectly rad.
We stopped making ball jokes.
We stopped making ball jokes. That's how you know how real it is.
Fully in
that I gave up on ball jokes. You gave up on ball jokes.
Yeah. Like an hour ago.
And we don't do that. We don't do that.
Have you met us?
We're not mature enough for that.
Not even a little bit.
Well, honestly, guys, we would love to hear your theory on this ball.
Yeah.
And what the fuck.
And who has more information? If you can point me to the source with more information.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to any of the questions answered. A single one would be satisfying.
We could walk down we could do it.
But you can reach out to us at Who's Funding This Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, at Who's Funding This Pod on TikTok, or email us at who'sfundingthispodcast@gmail.com.
If you have the sphere, you need to get in contact with us right away.
We don't want it, but we want to see it.
I want to roll it. Mm-hmm. I will do whatever you want me to do with the ball.
I want to roll it. I want to play music to it.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
where it all started.
I want to drop it off a cliff.
I want to set some trees on fire and throw it in the middle and see what happens.
I want to give it a little smooch.
I want to pitch it to Netflix with a dating show with a bunch of men who will fuck a ball.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many men would fuck a ball?
Yeah, that you can't fuck. It's steel.
You cannot fuck it, but that won't stop them. All right. Well, starting next week, we are in our pre-spooky season.
Woo!
We will be talking for the next 2 weeks after this one about secret societies.
Getting us ready to go straight into Halloween for the entire month of October.
Yeah, all of October, we are going to be giving you creepy conspiracy theories, possibly in a creepy location.
Possibly spooky conspiracy theories.
Possibly spooky tunnels.
Possibly.
We might be in a spooky tunnel.
Yeah.
When we record it.
Yep. We won't bring flashlights. Mm-hmm. It'll be kind of a shit, video episode.
Yeah.
But you'll be with us in the spooky tunnels.
In the spooky tunnels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very found footage. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.